You clicked because you already suspected it. That $55 box of golf balls in your bag might be lying to you, and I need to tell you what I found before you buy another sleeve. Here is the truth. I fought for 2 years. A golf ball that cost less than half of a Pro V1, beat it in my own testing, at my own swing speed, with my own aging hands. Not by luck, by the numbers. I did not want to believe it. I was the guy who bought a fresh dozen Pro V1 before every trip, who sneered at the cheap stuff in the bargain bin. I thought paying more meant playing better. I was wrong, and I can prove it. Stay with me, because by the end, I am going to show you a compression number almost nobody talks about, and how a robot test from a lab called My Golf Spy exposed the whole thing. And this matters whether you buy new balls tomorrow or keep playing the ones already in your bag. Let me take you back to the moment it cracked open for me. It was a Tuesday morning, early, the dew's still on the first fairway at my home course in Arizona. I was playing with a buddy named Dale, 71 years old, retired electrician, swings maybe 80 miles an hour on a good day. Dale pulls out this white box I did not recognize, Kirkland Signature. The Costco ball, $15 a dozen back then, and I actually laughed at him out loud. I told him he was playing a range ball with a fancy name. Then Dale outdrove me on 3 of the first 4 holes. Now, I want to be honest with you, because that is the whole point of what I do here. I did not change my mind that day. My ego would not let me. I told myself it was the wind, the slope, that Dale just caught a few good ones. I went home and I bought another dozen Pro V1, because that is what a serious golfer does, right? That is what the commercials taught me for 30 years. But something stuck in the back of my mind like a splinter. Dale's ball was going just as far, and Dale was paying about $1.25 per ball, while I was paying almost $5. Here is what I did not understand yet. The gap between what I paid and what I got had almost nothing to do with the number on my scorecard. And once I started pulling that thread, the whole sweater came apart. So let me back up and tell you what a golf ball actually is, because this is where the story gets uncomfortable. A modern premium ball like the Titleist Pro V1 is built in layers. You have got a core in the middle, then a mantle layer or 2, then a thin cover made of a material called urethane. That urethane cover is the expensive part. It is what lets a tour player put wicked spin on a wedge shot and stop the ball dead by the pin. That is real. I am not going to sit here and tell you the Pro V1 is a bad ball. It is a phenomenal ball. But here is the question nobody in the marketing department wants you to ask. Who is it phenomenal for? The Pro V1 is engineered around a swing speed most amateurs will never see. It has a compression rating right around 90. Compression, if you have never heard the term explained straight, is basically how much the ball squishes when you hit it. A high compression ball like the Pro V1 needs a fast, hard strike to compress fully and give you back all that energy. Tour players swing the driver around 113, 115 miles an hour. They compress it perfectly every time. Now, let me ask you the real question. What is your driver swing speed? Because if you are like most of the men I play with, most of the men over 50 who watch this channel, you are swinging somewhere between 80 and 95 miles an hour. And at that speed, you are not fully compressing a 90 compression ball. You are leaving energy on the table. You are paying premium money for performance your swing physically cannot access. That was the first crack in the wall for me. But it was not the betrayal yet. The betrayal came when I found the numbers. So I got obsessed. I am not proud of how much time I spent on this, but I am glad I did it, because I did it so you do not have to. I went looking for independent testing, not manufacturer claims, not some paid influencer gushing on camera, real robot testing where a machine swings exactly the same way every single time and removes the human excuse. And I found it. There is an independent outfit called My Golf Spy that runs golf balls through a robot at controlled swing speeds and publishes every number: ball speed, launch angle, spin rate, carry distance, dispersion. No brand pays them to lie. And what I saw in those charts made me sit back in my chair. They tested the Kirkland Signature against the big premium names. At driver speed, the ball speed difference between the Costco ball and the $55 tour balls was often less than 1 mile an hour. 1 mile an hour. Do you know what 1 mile an hour of ball speed is worth in carry distance? About 2 yards. 2 yards for a price difference of $40 a dozen. I read that and I thought about every box of Pro V1 I'd ever bought. I did the math on the drive home from the course one day and I nearly pulled over. I figured I had been buying roughly 20 dozen premium balls a year for the better part of 2 decades. That is over $1,000 a year, more than $20,000 of my life chasing 2 yards a robot could barely measure. But here is where I have to be fair, because the whole reason you trust me is that I do not oversimplify to make a point. The driver was not the whole story. And this is exactly what the industry counts on you never digging into. Because when my golf spy tested those same balls with a wedge on a short spinning shot, the premium urethane balls did pull ahead. The Pro V1 and the other tour balls spun more around the green. The cheaper balls, some of them, gave up a bit of that greenside bite. So the marketing is not lying to you. It is doing something sneakier. It is telling you a true thing about a situation that does not apply to your game. Let me explain what I mean, because this is the heart of it. Think about your last round. Be honest with me. How many shots did you hit where the difference between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM of wedge spin actually changed your score? For a tour player firing at a tucked pin on firm greens, that spin is everything. For you and me, playing a soft municipal green, bumping it up to the front edge, taking the safe play to the fat of the green, that extra spin does almost nothing. Most amateurs do not even strike the ball cleanly enough to generate the spin the ball is capable of in the first place. So the industry sells you a Ferrari's braking system when you are driving to the grocery store at 30 miles an hour, and you are paying for brakes you will never press that hard. That was the moment my sympathy for the story ran out, because once I understood this, I started noticing how deliberately it was built. Let me tell you about the packaging, because this is a small thing that tells you everything. I pulled an old Titleist box out of my garage, one from years back, and compared it to a new one. The language had shifted over the years to lean harder and harder on tour validation. Number one ball in golf, played by more professionals than any other, and every word of that is technically true. But think about what it is doing. It is borrowing the swing speed of a 28-year-old professional and quietly attaching it to your purchase. You are not buying a ball. You are buying a feeling that you are part of that world. And the price told the same story. Go back and look at what a dozen premium balls cost in the early 2000s versus now. The Pro V1 launched around 2000 at roughly $40 a dozen. Today you are looking at $55, sometimes more, with the personalization they push on you. That is a climb well beyond what the materials cost to make. The urethane, the manufacturing, all of it has gotten cheaper and more efficient over 20 years. But the price went up. Somebody decided the ball was worth more because you believed it was worth more. That climb in price tells you everything. And it is the exact same trick the whole industry runs on your irons too. Think about the last time you stood in a shop holding a 7-iron, trusting the number stamped on the sole, not knowing that number has been quietly bent stronger year after year to fake distance you never actually gained. That splinter you feel about golf balls? It is buried even deeper in your irons, and I got tired of guessing, so I put everything I learned into a collection called the Iron Clarity Complete Set, and you get it the moment you download it. It maps the 4-iron family so you know exactly where your game lives. It exposes the loft deception, so you finally understand why your so-called 7-iron is not really a 7-iron. It gives you the honest taxonomy of blades versus game improvement versus super game improvement, and the full set composition and gapping blueprint, so you walk into any fitting bay unfoolable. And here is a check you can run tonight, free, right in your garage. Grab your 7-iron and your pitching wedge, stand them side by side, and read the loft stamped on them or look them up. If the gap between them is smaller than 4 degrees, you have been sold loft creep, plain as day. The exact same trick you just watched happen to those golf balls. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. And the reason this matters now is simple. Every round you play with irons that do not fit your swing is a round you are paying for in strokes, whether you buy anything or not. Now hold that thought, because next I am going to show you the lawsuit that proves even the biggest name in golf got scared of the cheap stuff. Now, here is where the Costco story gets even better. And this is the part that convinced me somebody was scared. When the Kirkland Signature ball first came out and people started realizing it performed close to the tour balls at a third of the price, there was a lawsuit. Acushnet, the company that owns Titleist, sent Costco a letter over patents. Costco turned around and preemptively took them to court. Think about that for a second. If the cheap ball was really a range ball with a fancy name, like I had smugly told Dale, why would the biggest name in golf balls feel the need to lawyer up over it? You do not swing at a gnat with a legal hammer. You swing at something that scares you. That was my whole worldview coming apart. But I still had not answered the most important question for a guy like me, and probably a guy like you. What about the clubs and balls I already own? Because I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, that is fine, but I just bought 3 sleeves of the expensive stuff and I am not throwing them away. So let me talk to you directly now, because this next part is for the golfer who does not want to spend another dime and just wants to play better with what is already in the bag. This is the part I wish someone had handed me years ago. You do not need to buy anything to get most of the benefit of what I learned. You need to match the ball to your swing, and you can figure out your swing without a fancy launch monitor. Here is the simple test I use. Take your 7-iron. Go find your normal, comfortable carry number for that club. If you do not know it, spin 1 small bucket at a range with distance markers and hit 10 of them and throw out your 2 best and 2 worst. Look at the middle. If your 7-iron is carrying under 140 yards, your swing speed is almost certainly in the range where a high compression tour ball is working against you, not for you. You are the exact golfer paying for compression you cannot use. Now, here is the adjustment that costs nothing. If you already own a box of firm premium balls and your swing is on the slower side, play them in cold weather rounds where the extra firmness matters less, and save them for your short game practice where the spin actually helps you learn. And for your everyday rounds, drop down to a lower compression ball, not a cheaper ball necessarily, a softer one. A ball in the 50 to 70 compression range will compress fully at your speed and give you back energy. The 90 compression ball simply refuses to release for you. And there is a second free adjustment, one about how you play the ball you already have. Most amateurs I watch play the same ball for 6, 7, 8 holes, scuffing it, dinging it off cart paths, then wonder why their distance feels inconsistent. A scuffed cover changes how the ball flies through the air far more than the logo on it. Rotate your balls. When a ball takes a real hit, retire it to the shag bag. A clean, unscuffed $20 ball outperforms a beat-up $55 one every single time. That is free yards from something already in your pocket. And one more, because I promised you value whether you buy anything or not, check your ball against a bucket of water. Float test, fill a glass, add a few tablespoons of salt so the ball floats, and give it a spin. If it always settles with the same spot facing up, the ball has a weight imbalance in the core, and it will roll offline on the greens no matter how good your stroke is. I found 3 balls in an old sleeve that failed this. 3 balls I had been 3-putting with and blaming my putter. That test cost you nothing but a glass of water. All right. So by now I had the numbers, I had the lawsuit, I had the fixes, but I still had not found the thing that made me finally completely change what I put in my bag. And it came from the most unexpected place. Because here is what still bothered me. The Kirkland ball was great, but availability was a nightmare in those early days. They sold out. They changed the design. One version was a 4-piece, then they went to a different construction, and honestly, chasing the Costco ball started to feel like its own kind of hype. So I kept digging, and I went where the honest information actually lives. Not the ads, the forums. I spent weeks reading the golf equipment communities on Reddit, the senior golf group especially. Real men, my age and older, no sponsorships, no reason to lie, comparing notes on what actually held up. And I started seeing the same names come up again and again, names the television commercials never mentioned, Balls from smaller companies selling direct, cutting out the retail markup, offering a genuine urethane cover ball for around $20 to $30 a dozen. And that led me to the finale. The one number that changed everything for me, the thing the whole confession has been building toward. Here it is. In the My Golf Spy robot data, at the swing speeds most senior golfers actually have, the total performance gap between the best premium ball and a well-chosen value urethane ball came down to a difference so small it fell inside the margin of error of the test itself. Inside the margin of error. Let me tell you what that phrase really means, because it is the most important thing I will say today. It means that if you hit the expensive ball and the cheap ball 100 times each, the variation in your own swing from shot to shot is larger than the difference between the two balls. Your bad contact, your slightly open face, your tempo on the back nine when you were tired, all of that swamps the ball difference completely. The ball was never your problem. The ball was never going to fix you, and the expensive ball was never going to save you. And somewhere in a marketing meeting decades ago, somebody figured out that the golfer's hope is the most profitable thing in the sport. You cannot sell a man a better swing in a box, but you can sell him the belief that this ball, this one right here, is the thing standing between him and the golfer he wants to be. And he will buy it. I bought it. For 20 years, I bought it. The truth existed the whole time. It was sitting right there in the robot data, in the compression charts, in the physics of what a ball can and cannot do at 85 miles an hour. But it was buried under 30 years of tour validation and slow motion commercials of professionals spinning it back on greens you will never play. A handful of independent testers and a warehouse club that did not care about the golf establishment dragged it into the light. And now you have it too. So here is what I actually do now. And I want to give you something concrete to act on this weekend, not just a feeling. I no longer buy based on the name on the box. I buy based on two things: my compression number matched to my swing speed and a urethane cover, because the material is cheap enough now that there is no reason to accept a hard plastic cover on a short game shot. And I never pay more than about $30 a dozen to get both of those things, because I proved to myself with my own two eyes and a robot's data that the extra $25 buys me almost nothing my swing can use. Dale, by the way, the guy who outdrove me that Tuesday morning with his $15 Costco balls, I called him after all this. I told him he was right and I was a stubborn old fool. You know what he said? He said he had known for years. He just stopped arguing with guys like me because we never listened. He said the day I finally figured it out on my own would mean more than anything he could have told me. And he was right about that too. So let me leave you with the thing that took me $20,000 in 2 years to understand. The most expensive ball in the shop was designed for a swing you probably do not have, sold to you with a promise it was never able to keep. And the moment you stop paying for hope and start paying for physics, you keep hundreds of dollars a year in your pocket and you lose almost nothing you could ever feel. You are not the kind of golfer who wants to be told what to buy. You are the kind who wants to know what is true and then decide for yourself. That is the only reason I make these. And if that morning with Dale had happened to you, I think you would have chased the truth just as hard as I did. So let me ask you something, and I really do read these. What ball are you playing right now, and what is your honest 7-iron carry number? Put both of those in the comments, just the ball and the number, because I want to show you something in the replies about who is overpaying and who is not, and I promise you the pattern is going to surprise the whole group. Do not be shy about it. Nobody here is judging your yardage. We are all just tired of being sold. If you are the kind of golfer who would rather see the robot data than the commercial, subscribe and stand with the rest of us who stop taking the marketing on faith. And there is a free ball fitting guide I put together. The compression numbers match to swing speeds, linked below, so you never have to guess again. Next time, I am pulling apart something even bigger. I found out why the driver you were told adds distance every single year has barely changed in one measurement that actually matters. And there is a rule from the governing body that quietly capped it more than 15 years ago. Once you see that number, you will never look at a new driver launch the same way again. I will see you there. Before you click away, one more thing. This video gave you the overview, but inside the Honest Fairway Club, I take it deeper. The cheap ball swing speed matchup, brand by brand, picking up right where I stopped. And in there, you can ask me your own question, and a real person answers me, myself, not a robot. You won't be alone. Senior golfers like you are already inside. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen. Cancel anytime, one click, no risk. Now that you've found a ball that saves you money, let's help you hit it farther. In this next one, I'll show you the perfect driver for your handicap. It's starting right here.